TG Geeks, episode 208, February 11th, 2019. Women in Horror Month. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror, genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane. We're coming to you from a little bit of a cold snap in TG Squared Studios, Phoenix, Arizona. I got that backwards. It's not a cold snap at TG Squared Studios. It's a cold snap in Phoenix. Yeah. But it's cold in this house.
It's cold in this house. The polar vortex has made its way into here. Now, yeah, I'm Ben Raggington, also coming to you from the southwest version of the polar vortex, which for some people would consider it to be spring.
39 degrees.
I mean, we're cold, but other people call it, oh, that's a lovely spring day.
Yeah.
But no, that's here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Let's get on with the show.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the two gay geeks are discussing this.
Well, this time we have
a
roundtable discussion about Women in Horror Month. We have Patricia Chica, Michelle Romano, and Eileen Dietz, and you'll find out who all three of those ladies are when we talk to them. Of course, we have our birthday shout-outs and our featured podcast of the week, and everybody's favorite feedback, and we'll figure out something we're going to talk about in our second segment.
I got an idea.
And then our weekly recap and our follow-up items. We've shortened that a little bit, so please continue to listen after we wrap up everything else. So we're just going to get right to it. And this time on TG Geeks pod or webcast, what am I saying? I don't know. You know me, I get lost. We have a real treat.
We have a roundtable.
We have a roundtable discussion. We have three, and I'm going to say women because that's what it's all about. We have three women that are instrumental in the Women in Horror Month. We have Patricia Chica, Michelle Romano, and Eileen Dietz. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you on this Saturday morning.
Yeah,
yes, it is.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us. It's an honor.
Absolutely. So, Patricia, I think you've been flagged as the person to tell us about what is Women in Horror Month, and then we'll go from there. How's that?
Absolutely. Well, Women in Horror Month started 10 years ago. It was founded by Hannah Foreman Neurotica and the Soska sisters, Sylvia and Jen, and they wanted to bring awareness both on blood donation and also on females directing, making horror in the industry. And thanks to this movement, over the years, they gave voices and a space for young female filmmakers to express themselves by creating PSAs about blood donation. And they had freedom of expression. They had carte blanche to do 2-minute shorts. They were very tiny little shorts, and they were gory, bloody, scary, funny. And, you know, they just put them on YouTube for the first few years, and it just became something, a phenomenon where more and more people started to follow those directors. They became very popular. Some of these filmmakers have now transitioned to making feature films or television projects. So it really created a nest of creative-minded horror filmmakers. And now, in the latest few years, they started including the voices of male filmmakers who were advocates and supportive of the Women in Horror Month. And now it has become so big, they have hundreds and hundreds of people contributing to the campaign, creating their own PSAs around the world, and even creating events in various cities where they present the best shorts at film festivals or in different curated programs.
Far out.
It's been 10 years already, 10 years of blood, and it's been wonderful.
Yeah.
Really, the Silka sisters and Hannah Neurotica, they really brought it to the scene.
They've coordinated it with blood drives, and actually that's how I actually met Patricia. We did a film. I played a vampiress, a female vampire,
Yes.
that were getting blood for this thing. It was quite adorable. And
She played the thirsty vegan vampire.
Vegan vampire?
Because she was vegan. So she had to call in a number to have blood delivered to her like drugs, you know.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
that's hilarious.
Well, we remember.
great fun.
Yeah, we remember Crimson Dance.
Michelle produced it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It's a small world after
She
all.
produced it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how I became acquainted with Women in Horror Month, was through Patricia. We produced 2 projects together, and then she was my executive producer last year when I directed my first segment for the PSA. So
Cool.
very exciting.
Yeah.
I have
Which
to.
I'm still waiting to see, Michelle.
It's online. It's called Blood Bride. Check it out.
Okay.
Someone told me.
Make a note of that.
Yeah.
And
I'll run home and watch it tonight.
Okay.
And I want to make a note that, one of the things that, going back to Patricia really briefly, one thing that, well, first, I think Women in Horror is a fantastic thing because some of the
Absolutely.
best horror films and horror short films, it doesn't matter if it's a short subject or feature length, but some of the best horror that I've ever seen have come from women, and I can't explain it except that there's just something really empowering there. Some amazing projects that come out of there, and to go back to Patricia, one of the greatest short films that I've ever seen Patricia do was a short film called Crimson Dance that to this day I think is not only horrific with the amount of blood, but it's gorgeous.
It really
I mean,
is.
for a horror film to be actually visually beautiful with an incredible subject matter is just it amazes me to this day. I mean, I still rate that as probably one of the best horror shorts I've ever watched.
Yeah. Well, we happen to be Patricia Chica fanboys, so.
Well, that too.
So yes, we love Patricia's work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that short, the story came to me in 20 minutes through a meditation, and I remember closing my eyes and just asking, I want to feel inspired to serve the purpose of blood donation because my mother suffered from leukemia and she passed away. So for me, it was very important to find a story that would really hit the audience in a very profound way so they will be inspired to donate blood. And that story just came to me in 20 minutes.
Wow.
So it came from a space of depth and asking for an idea to come to me to serve the purpose of blood donation.
Far out.
I also think that, I don't know, this might sound very bizarre, and I've never said this before, but I think women understand the blood flow more than men do because of the blood flow we get every month.
Right.
And the life force of our blood, of course, making babies and whatnot, and also the death force of blood, because if you lose too much,
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
So, I think females obviously have a different sensitivity to birth, but females have a kind of a different visceral understanding of blood and life and death, that kind of life and death, and maybe that's why women are so prevalent and good at making horror.
Maybe that's
and
it.
I think empathy has something to do with it too. That males tend to not be as empathic.
That is a very good point.
I mean, they can be, but it's more traditionally, and I'm not.
Not trying to be general.
Not trying to be general, but it's been conditioned into males to not be as empathic as women.
Well, I
have been.
think that's a really good point because again, I look back to some of the horror films that I've seen that have come from women, and the ones that I think really are the ones that resonate the most are the ones that do create that strong sense of empathy, because that allows me to really then get almost into the head with the protagonist of the film, and that allows me to then better associate with everything that's going on. So maybe that's a really good point I hadn't even considered before. Very good.
Yeah.
That's kind of if you're in a workplace or someplace like that, try saying just even talking about your period with a lot of men, they say, can you go into the drugstore and get me some Tampax, please? Oh my God, that's a horror.
Yeah.
And the word horror. It really
That's their
is.
horror. Yeah,
exactly. And this is Eileen Dietz that we're talking to now. So tell us about who you are and what you have done. For those that don't know who you are, and for our listeners that are listening to this interview.
Living under a rock.
Yes, exactly. Well, there's a lot of people. We weren't really horror people until we were properly introduced to it and explained what horror, all the possibilities that horror can be. It's not just blood and gore and guts and
and shock and scare. No,
yeah,
there's so much more to it.
So much more.
Yeah.
So tell us.
Well, I guess obviously. First of all, horror has absolutely changed my life and created my life and created my career. And that's basically all I shoot now, either as a victim or as the demon or, the demon, the witch, the evil person, or the victim. And I've always been into horror, and then I got cast in The Exorcist way back in the 70s.
Wow.
And
we remember those days.
and I mean, I was very fortunate because I was hired on the film as a principal actor, and I actually played the demon that possessed Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up doing all the scenes that the movie is most famous for, as in the vomiting sequence, the levitation sequence.
Oh, really?
The fighting sequence, the death scene at the end, as we call it, the abuse of the cross.
Oh,
sequence.
That scene, yeah.
This is PG.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
I know the scene you're talking about, yeah.
The vomiting sequence, of course. So Dick Smith, who is the grandfather of horror makeup, I mean, he created everything that you see nowadays. He was able to make me look like Reagan, or the demon look like Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And people want to call it a double, but I'll say right now that it was not a double. I actually was the demon that possessed Reagan. And I get residuals since the 70s, which is cool.
Wow.
So I was able to do that, and then the last day of the shoot, the very last day of the shoot, which had been going on for months, Dick Smith decided to use a makeup test that turned out to be Captain Howdy, or the face of death, which has become the photo, the PR thing that they use. It's become representative of the whole film. And that was all me. And so it's kind of nice. And we have, it's Pazuzu, Captain Howdy, face of death, whoever you want to call it. And, so I was able to do that. And like I said, it's absolutely changed my life. I've been able to tour the country, doing horror conventions, and tour the UK and Germany and Spain. And, I mean, it's just amazing, and I'm so grateful for it.
Well, I'm looking at your
meet my fans.
Yeah, I'm looking at your IMDb page right now, and holy cow, lady, you have been busy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you have also written a book.
Well, I gotta say,
where did you find time to write this book that you were telling us about? And tell us about that.
I talked it. I talked it to this guy named Dan, who is an absolute genius. And people have read the book. It's called Exorcising My Demons. And everybody who's read the book just finds it very, very funny and very, very sad. There's sad things in it. And it's full of little stories. It's told in the first person.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with how this little kid from I grew up in Manhattan and went to Queens, New York, I like to say flat-chested and buck-toothed little girl, and it was very small and androgynous. Found herself in the scariest horror movie of all time. So it tells how I became an actress. And it has sweet stories and little sad stories, a couple little Me Too incidents, actually, that weren't relevant in the 70s. So it tells all these stories. I'm trying to think of a word I can't say. So I'll just say that they're all basic. The whole book are very short chapters and anecdotal
Cool.
things. And it's not only, it's also about being inspired. And definitely the first chapter is about following your dreams, no matter what it is. And because I had a lot of negativity in my life. Oh, you're too little, you're too small, you're not pretty enough, you're not busty enough, you're not sexy enough, all the enough. And I didn't care. And I said, I don't care what you say, I'm going to just do what I do, right?
Cool.
And Saturday morning, I used to take a bus to the train to New York City and go to a teenage acting class. But nobody knew about that. That was my secret dream.
Wow.
So people wouldn't make fun of me. My parents were totally not supportive, but they did let me go to this class.
That's interesting.
And I just loved it. I mean, I'd done a lot of work before that, but this was the first major motion picture I ever did.
Right.
I knew Max von Sydow was because my parents took me to foreign films. So I knew who he was, and I knew the project. And every day, I mean, it was 3.5 to 4 hours of makeup every day.
Mm-hmm.
But every day was just so exciting. Sometimes you'd go into the set and they'd put makeup on you for 3.5 hours. You'd never work. At the end of the day, they would take it off.
Oh, my gosh.
So what? You know what I mean? Anyway, all that kind of stuff is in the book. And the first, my audition, the screen test, the first day on the set. And I chose to tell funny stories about The Exorcist more than scary stories, because most people know, about the fire, the deaths, all that kind of stuff. So I decided I would be funny.
Right.
And,
and I assume
if
that
you go
book...
on Facebook and you want to PM me or DM me and find out more information about the book, how you can get it, I'd get it from me instead of Amazon, because you'll get an autograph.
Oh, cool.
And I mail out books a lot.
Cool. That's where I was going with my next question, is where can we find that book? So we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. So Michelle, tell us about you, Michelle. Who are you, and how did you get started, and what have you done?
Well, I don't know how I can follow that.
Just be yourself.
That was pretty demonic, wasn't it?
Oh, my goodness. But I have worked with Eileen, so I'm linked in some way.
Yeah, 5 degrees.
Yeah.
Michelle, that was one of my favorite projects I've ever shot. It was so much fun.
I'm sure. No, you're great with everything you do, and I always love hearing your stories, and you're wonderful to work with as well. So, thank you for that. And I mean, honestly, I really was pulled into more of this world through Patricia, which has been amazing. I always was more in front of the camera working on horror movies and other projects, and I always thought it was so much fun to be in these films, even if they were smaller, indie projects. I always really enjoyed it and loved it and wanted to kind of stick with that genre. And over time, I ended up producing my own work just because I wanted to branch out a little bit more. I didn't just want to be the girl who screams and dies all the time.
Right.
I wanted to do something more. So I started producing my own films, and not just horror. I did a lot of drama, which I like, thriller, and even now I'm kind of gearing more towards romantic comedy, which I know is a stretch from the horror world. But
not that far. Not that far.
No,
a comedy, romance can be horrible sometimes.
I was going to say, I've seen some romantic comedies that were truly horror-like.
It starts out great.
Agree. I agree.
It started out with a lot of romance, and then it.
I really love the dark horror, like the horror comedies. I've been seeing a lot more of those lately, and I just think they're so smart. I love them. So I really do have a love for all types of cinema, not just horror, although I do tend to always come back to horror. But last year, like I mentioned, I directed my first short film ever, and it was part of the PSA for Soska Sisters. And that was just so much fun, working with the actors and being a part of it on a different level. And, it's not something that I aspire to do as far as being a director, but it was a really fun learning experience, and it helped me see more of what it's like as a director is, working with not just the actors, but making sure you have all your shots lined up and things that were just kind of foreign to me. It was really, really interesting to kind of figure it all out, and I had a great support team, which really are the ones that allowed me to be able to do it. And I also was acting in the film, so it was really, really a great experience. I always go back to the acting, even if I'm producing. I'm always going to have that hunger to be acting as well. So I've been really grateful, and thankful to be able to have done it all, in an experiment in that way.
Yeah. So that is really great. We haven't seen any of your material. I'm sorry, but we're going to search it out and find it and take a look at it.
You haven't seen Blood Bride? I thought you saw that one. I'll have to
Which
make
one?
sure I send it to you. Blood Bride.
I don't know.
Oh
my gosh! But we will certainly take a look at that. I mean, I see all your posts on Facebook, so I feel like I know.
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
Right.
So it's amazing how you feel like you know somebody just because you're connected on Facebook sometimes, and it's like, oh, I really don't know that person. But
something Michelle forgot to mention is she became a Producers Guild of America member.
Far out.
Years, so that's incredible.
Wow!
Thank you so much.
You can put that
We need
PGA
more women
behind your name now.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah, they make it very, very difficult to join.
Really?
So congratulations, Michelle. Oh, my manager was trying to join the PGA, and he just gave up stuff.
Wow.
It's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. Just like anything, you have to really want it and focus on it. And I made that my main goal for a while, was just really, really trying to get in there. And I'm so thankful to be a part of it. And now I'm actually the co-chair for their Oscar viewing party, which is really exciting. And I'm also the host. So you'll have to come.
Far out.
We
That
know
is-
somebody who's not connected with the academies.
Yay!
Not that it's going to help us any.
Yeah, really. So, Patricia, tell us. We've talked to you multiple times, but just for those that have not listened to one of your interviews, tell us a little bit about you and what you've done. I will say that it's between. Oh gosh.
There are a number of people that have completely redefined, reshaped, and given our podcast and whole thing whole new life. And you, Patricia, are definitely one of those people.
Yeah, and it all started with Serpent's Lullaby, which I think is a brilliant film.
Thank you. Well, I'm very grateful of you, Two Gay Geeks, for all the opportunities you have given me and my friends and our community to support independent cinema. It's wonderful to be part of your team and your friend circle. So who am I? For those who don't know me, I'm a director. I produce. I also do PR for genre films. And my goal as an artist is to tell stories that will empower and inspire audiences worldwide, no matter what the genre is. I worked in horror for many years, and it all started with Ceramic Tango, a short film that wasn't meant to be a horror short. It was meant to be a drama. And throughout the course of the creative process of it, we just realized that making it a horror genre elevated even more the message of the film, which was to bring awareness on HIV.
Yeah, I remember that one very well.
With a lot of, it was made with a lot of care of not make it sensational on the subject. It was more like a humanistic story. And that short really opened a lot of doors for me because it went everywhere to over 75 film festivals. It won tons of awards. And then a festival in LA programmed it, and I won the top prize opposite feature films.
Wow.
It was a short that won for the first time the grand prize. And suddenly, people just started calling me, sending me scripts of horror, and horror producers were engaging with me in conversations about directing their projects. And I even was on a panel in Toronto at Comic-Con with the Solstice Sisters, and it was just my first short, you know. So it really elevated my career in that space. And from one day to the next, I had 1,000 fans following me, horror fans, on social media, and it created a buzz. So I just decided to carry on, to keep making horror shorts, and I was enjoying the ride so much. It really transformed me as an artist to delve into that genre that I wasn't very familiar with beforehand. And after all these years, in parallel to my horror career, I was developing another project called Montreal Girls that is a coming-of-age drama. Since 2011, we started discussing that project, and now it's fully funded. We raised the financing, and I'm going to be shooting it this summer in Montreal and in Egypt.
Out.
Egypt?
Yes.
Goodness, I didn't know about Egypt.
In Cairo, yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel very fortunate that the horror community embraced my work since the first short I made. They have stayed very loyal to me, and I correspond with fans on a regular basis. And what I have discovered, which is a very interesting phenomenon, is that horror fans are the most enthusiastic and loyal and protective fans out there. So if they love your horror projects, they will follow your career until, for many, many years, even if you change genres. If that doesn't happen in drama, if you have fans who love your drama films, it's not necessarily true that they will follow you when you make a horror film or a genre film. So it's something to consider, I find it great that these fans, they just keep following your career and they keep the conversation going.
Interesting.
A lot of people feel that, shooting a horror film is just easy. And with the advent of, the cameras you can get and indie market, and you can shoot a film for practically nothing. So you still get a lot of, and I see a lot of scripts like that they don't think the script needs a plot.
Oh, please.
Or people. They can just pull, intestines out of your body.
Right, and just throw blood everywhere.
Children. I read a script like that.
No, that is a horror, but the wrong kind.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Patricia. But people do use the horror genre, they think. And so there's a lot of really good out there. I know with me, I get the most interesting parts out of indie horror, really fun parts. And then you have to wade through some other stuff.
Yeah, I'm
But
glad.
Patricia didn't have to.
I'm glad you brought that up, and this is something I want to ask each of you, being that this is Women in Horror Month right now. So starting with, start with Eileen, then we'll do Michelle, and then we'll move to Patricia. What is it about horror that makes you want to revisit it?
As a fan?
As a worker.
Excuse me, as a what?
As a worker, someone who works in that particular genre. I mean, what is it that makes you want to come back? Go back to the horror genre. Like Eileen, you wrote this book.
As a working actress.
Yes.
Why do I keep going back to it?
Yes.
Because first of all, that's what's offered to me.
Oh well.
Hollywood. It's a typecasting that I don't mind. And fortunately, in my life now, I don't audition. In fact, I tell people I don't audition for horror. If you want me, cast me. Because they want you to make these little self-tapes now. And so an awful lot of people, just contact me, and then I turn it over to my manager. And I do it because it's there, and I really like the genre. I think that you have a lot of fun with it. I did a short last year that I like doing student films, depending on where they're coming from, because of the people that are doing them. And I read the script, and I said, "Oh my God, I could do this! This is an incredible script." And it turned out to be a high school project. High school.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. Well, the script was so good that I decided I would do it anyway. And I'm going to tell you guys, it turned out to be one of the best experiences of my whole life. It was Glendale High School in California. They had the best equipment available, best computers, best everything. And all the kids on the set just really wanted to be there. So there was a passion and an enthusiasm. And I got to tell you, the talent, the woman who is the DP was absolutely amazing, what she came up with, 17 years old. And the director was the same. Like I said, the script is amazing. He's one of the most evil characters I've ever played. I said, "Why do you kill people?" And she says, "Because I love it." I stick a knife in someone and I get a rush, So you never know, like, where it's going to come from and, what's it going to be. And I know with my manager, people say, "Oh, I'm not doing ultra low budget," which is the least paying Screen Actors Guild contract. I'm not doing that. It's not enough. But I had a film in Sundance 2 years ago, which Patricia did all my PR for me. By the way, she was being very, very humble. She didn't talk about her PR business, but she was absolutely the best. I got into every and anything I wanted to do up there. And then I had another film that won the at South by Southwest that won the jury award. So you never know what you're doing, but like I said, for me, indie horror is what I do best, and it's easy. It's challenging and easy at the same time. So that's why I keep going back to horror. And once in a while, I make more money, and I do, like some really straight part, like a psychotherapist I did, and but ick. That's no fun.
So, Michelle, what keeps you coming back to horror?
It's funny because it was actually the first thing I ever did, too. It was the first role I was ever cast in was the lead actress in a horror movie called Terrace Street, which has still never been released, and I keep getting on the director about it. I'm like, can we release it now? Because that was really challenging and amazing. It was my first thing, and I actually, really was proud of that film. I did my own stunts. I got attacked by a German Shepherd.
Oh, dear.
I was bleeding from a weapon that we shouldn't have had that was real. Like, there was a lot of literal blood, sweat, and tears that went into that movie. But there was something really fun about learning how body parts can be made out of meat from the grocery store. And, just super fun because I had always been really scared of horror movies. They terrified me. And one example that I think is really kind of cool is I saw Candyman for the first time. I think I was in the 6th grade. I was at a sleepover with my best friend. Ironically, she's still my best friend at the time, and we laugh about this. I called my mother and made her come get me because I was so scared of the Candyman.
Oh my gosh.
And yes, and I had all these nightmares. And then flash forward years later, I'm doing my first horror movie, and I'm like, oh, this is how it works. It's not that scary, you know. I could get used to it. And, you know, well, I confided in one of my friends who worked for a horror magazine. I told him how I had all these nightmares, and I can't believe I'm doing horror movies now. And the Candyman just, you know, destroyed me and all this stuff. And one day he called me and he said, I have a role for you in a movie. It was with Tiffany Shepis, who he knew that I just thought was so amazing. I had never met her. And he said, it's not a big part, but you're going to get to be on set with Tiffany. And I thought, oh, my God.
I did a movie with Tiffany.
I loved her. I had read an article about her around the same time I was cast in Terrace Street, and I remember thinking, oh, wow, this is the real deal. You know, if she can cross over and do all these amazing things, then maybe I can do the same thing. And she was just such an inspiration for me. So being on set with her, even as I was like an extra or something, you know, walking around on this set with her, and it was just so cool for me to meet her. And I got to meet the director of the film and everybody else involved with the film. And my friend that had referred me to go had a plan in mind. He knew that he was going to just have me on set to meet the director and then kind of pitch me for a bigger part. And it worked out, where I get a call the next day saying, would like to offer you a role. You're playing opposite Tony Todd, the Candyman.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I can't do it. How am I going to do this? I'm so terrible. It ended up being quite the scene where the movie's called Beg, and I'm supposed to be terrified. I'm sorry. No, I'm not supposed to be terrified, but in real life, I was terrified of this man, and I'm supposed to be this tough, badass chick that's like, you know, having an affair with him, and I'm pushing him around, and I'm yelling at him. This was the best performance of my life, because I'll tell you, I was shaking during this scene, you know, just trying to act like I'm tough. But it was so cool to think, you know, this person I had nightmares about is now my co-star in this movie. It's just, you know, it was just so fun. So I've always equated working in horror as so much fun, and the experiences and the opportunities I've gotten through horror have really been amazing for me. So I think that's why I keep going back.
I'm looking at the IMDb.
Michelle,
go ahead.
Michelle, certainly working with Tony Todd is like one of the most person in the whole horror business. He's so nice and gentle and kind and stuff like that. And Tiffany's just a hoot. You hang around with Tiffany enough, she has this really kind of black sense of humor. You know, it's like, Tiffany, did you really say that about me? Yeah, because I did a movie with Tiffany too, and I killed her. Michelle, that's a great entrance into the horror genre. Tony Todd and Tiffany Shepis.
It's awesome. Yeah, because I'm looking at the IMDb page for Beg, and holy cow! I mean, this is like an '80s who almost. I mean, even though this movie came out in 2011, it's like an '80s who of horror people. I mean, with Tony Todd, PJ Soles, Michael Berryman, who's always one of the scariest guys I've ever laid eyes on.
Oh yeah, Christina Cleave is in it. There was an amazing cast, and I even I don't want, and maybe I shouldn't give away, you know, my death, but, well, now you know I die, so I'll just tell you. But I get killed by the original Michael Myers. How cool is that?
Wow. Far out.
It was a great experience.
So with that, I guess
this has been all kinds of wonderful.
Yeah, all kinds of
just
wonderful.
Running out of time.
Yeah, we're
here.
unfortunately running out of
Sorry.
time. Yeah, we got to wrap.
We would
this
love
up.
to talk to you more.
Yeah, but so for people who want to follow your careers and what you're working on, social media, do you guys have any presence on there? Eileen, you mentioned your book that people, you know, if people direct message you on Facebook, I guess it is, that you could send them a copy, an autographed copy of your book. Are you
for money? Obviously.
Yeah, obviously you're going to pay for it, duh. But are you available on any? Go ahead.
I just hired somebody because I'm really good on Facebook. In fact, I spend too much time on Facebook. But I really have no presence as a tweeter or on Instagram. So I just hired someone to help me with my Instagram.
Okay.
Because I just don't do it. But it's important, and it's important. It's actually important to casting people nowadays. They really want to know how many friends you have or how many followers you have.
No kidding.
As far as, well, we can cast this person because they're going to bring 5,000 friends from Facebook, you know what I mean? Or, 100,000 people from Instagram. They'll all kind of want to go see her. So it's very important to have that presence. But right now, like you said, if you're interested in finding out more about my book, PM me or DM me, whatever you want to call it, at EileenDietz.com. And it's the profile. I have a couple websites. So it's the one with the clowns from Clownado, which we can talk about later. Or you can always send me an email to Eileen at EileenDietz.com.
Cool.
All right.
And Michelle, where can you be found?
I can be found, I'm on everything, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I have 2 accounts. I'm under Michelle Romano, and I also have Roman Media Inc., which is my production company. So follow, share, come to my events. I post casting calls and crew calls on my pages, and I have a lot of upcoming projects. So definitely, please follow, because I will be posting, and I love interacting with the horror community as well as everybody else. So.
Absolutely. And Patricia?
Well, you can find me on my website, patriciachica.com. I'm very active also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm reachable. You can find me.
This has been absolutely wonderful. I wish we had had more time.
Yeah, I wish we did, too.
We just got to fit in
Yeah,
this time slot.
I just wanted to talk to you about something. Let me quickly tell you about something because I'm so proud of it.
Sure.
I just shot a film called Clownado, talking about horror comedy. It's a real grunge film. It's got a lot of sex, a lot of horror, a lot of fun, and a lot of humor, and it's just been getting reviews that if you wrote them yourself, they couldn't be better. So it's called Clownado, and you should look for it out there.
Cool.
Definitely do that.
I've heard about that, so we will definitely look for that. Well, thank the
Todd
three of
Sheets
you.
is a genius. He's the director, Todd Sheets.
Yeah.
And he makes movies for practically no money. It's just amazing what he puts up there on the screen for no money.
Cool.
On the other hand, I would have played one of the clowns, except they couldn't afford to keep me in KC for 3 or 4 weeks.
Right. So, well, thank you, Eileen and Michelle and Patricia, for being on our show this time.
It's my
you so
pleasure.
much.
Thank
It's
you.
been great. And thank you, Two Gay Geeks, for the support you've shown to the horror community, to female directors and independent artists. Honestly, it's one of the best webcasts I have had the privilege to deal with as a publicist.
Hi, I'm Eileen Dietz, best known from The Exorcist, playing Captain Howdy. And you are listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
And then we play happy music after that.
Did it get really colder in this room?
It got a little colder.
A tiny bit.
And here's a few selected birthdays for February 11th through February 17th, 2019. February 11th, Burt Reynolds, Thomas Edison, Leslie Nielsen, who had a home here in the Valley, and Ava Gabor.
Jasha's birthday wasn't that long ago either.
Just
So
last week or so. And also a Facebook friend, Raleigh Renault. February 12th, Abraham Lincoln, Josh Brolin, Charles Darwin, Lorne Green, who most people today remember him as the commander of the Battlestar Galactica.
But I grew up with him. He was
he's Pa in Bonanza.
Yeah.
So, and also Franco Zeffirelli and Steve Hackett on February 12th.
Favorite guitarist.
Okay. February 13th, Peter Gabriel.
Who used to work with Steve Hackett.
Exactly. And Henry Rollins, who didn't work with Steve Hackett.
No, but he's an amazing man with an incredible mind.
Yep. And Chuck Yeager. Also, another amazing guitarist, Bob Robbie, also known as Roberto from Roberto.
The
and
guy
Roberto.
is, wow, brilliant guitarist.
Yeah, and also very talented artist Joe Phillips. February 14th, Simon Pegg, Florence Henderson, Jack Benny, Vasilis Milicis, and it is my favorite sister and her husband's anniversary. Happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary. Anyway, on to the next day, February 15th, Galileo Galilei, Susan B. Anthony, Lillian Disney, and Michael Pretorius, who was 17th century composer who was very influential. February 16th, Sonny Bono, Christopher Eccleston, Benicio del Toro, Amanda in Tennessee, Byron Martin, who is producer for Patricia Chica, and Giorgio Benedetto, and Jim Lamb, a high school classmate of mine. February 17th, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Lou Diamond Phillips, Michael Bay, Larry the Cable Guy, also known as Mater.
That's like tomato, but without the tuh.
Yeah, and Hal Holbrook. What was it we were watching the other day that had Hal Holbrook in
it was All the President's Men.
Oh,
he was
yes,
Deep Throat.
Yeah. And Arcangelo Corelli, another very influential composer, and a friend of ours from the opera, Alan Perriello. Happy birthday to everyone on the list.
Hi, my name is Joe Hogan, and I'm a geek. And if you're currently listening to this, there's a good chance you're a geek too. So check out my podcast, Geektitude. Each week, I talk with somebody about their geek aptitude. Sometimes I talk to people in a geeky profession. Sometimes it's someone doing something really cool with their geekiness. Often it's another geeky podcaster. But it's always someone who wants to share their inner geek. So join me each week as we come together to geek out about all the geeky stuff we love. And remember, this week, keep it geek.
Go give a listen to our friend Joe over at Geektitude. And now we've got a little bit of the lovely feedback.
I just want to say that Joe Hogan and his husband Matt are enjoying a cruise, or at least they just finished off a cruise, an all-gay cruise with Atlantis. Yeah, good for them. So, this is brief. So starting with episode 203, we interviewed Matt Hayes for that episode about his movie Cognitive, and he says, "Thank you, Ben Raggington and Keith Lane, for having me on. Can't wait to revisit. Can't wait to have you back on." And then
but that's not what you typed. You typed revised.
I know. Actually, you know what I did? I copied it.
Uh-oh.
It was literally, so don't blame me. I wasn't playing editor. I simply copied what was there.
I see.
So, then also we had a little press release about how Zachary Wheeler had released a little short that's part of his Max in the Multi-Universe series.
Multiverse. Yeah.
And got a comment from Zachary. He says, "Thank you for the kind words, gents. You guys rock something fierce." And then lastly, Jeannie Koch had a 3-episode thoughts for the TV series The Rookie, and got a comment from old friend Alice Harper, and she says, "I really like this show." And that is our feedback for this week.
Yeah, and you can leave comments on our Facebook page, or you can comment on our YouTube episodes or at tggeeks.com. And you can also comment on, leave us a voicemail feedback by calling 469 TG Geeks. That is 469-844-3357. As always, please play nice.
I'm Michelle Romano, and I love the Two Gay Geeks.
Okay, so a couple of things. Well, actually, one thing I want to discuss. Lately, we've been watching Star Trek Discovery and I sort of kind of like what we're seeing here.
Yeah.
Now, I've done my 3-episode thoughts on the first 3 episodes of Discovery, at which point I even closed it out by saying that I think the series is worthy of being called Star Trek, but that's my opinion.
Yeah.
What is yours?
I actually am beginning to like it a little bit more. It's actually beginning to be a little less weird for me to watch.
Okay, so what's going on now with the show that really appeals to you?
Well, they are telling some stories, even though they're in a serial fashion, or a arc-ish fashion. They're beginning to tell stories that feel a lot more like Star Trek, and they're trying to rectify some of the quote unquote canon issues that they kind of severely violated, in the first season, when they were continually saying, "Oh, well, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to make it right in the last episode," and they never did. And I guess there was so much of an outcry that they had no choice but to try to at least rectify. I don't have a problem with them changing canon, as long as they explain how they've changed it.
Just don't willy-nilly change it.
Yeah,
and then
just say, oh, okay, well, that's the way it is,
Well, or come up with a BS response. I remember, with the whole thing with the Klingons, and they came up with this ridiculous thing. Well, this is what all the houses, there's only 23 houses of, great houses of the Klingon Empire, and each one looks different. And I thought, wow, that's a new one.
Yeah.
That's a stretch.
Different genetic lines or what,
Yeah, that really kind of gives a whole thought to the idea of inbreeding.
Yeah. Anyway, so like I said, I don't mind if they retcon something, I mean, as long as it's done tastefully, and they explain it and they say, or there's some indication of why it changed. It's kind of like the spore drive. That one's still hanging out there,
Yeah.
So why have we in all of the rest of Star Trek that has ever been invented never heard of the spore drive?
Yeah, that's trying to pigeonhole this new story
so
idea.
How they're going to retcon that one? That's a good.
Well, they're sort of doing it now, but it does beg the question: how come we've never heard of it before?
Yeah.
Not even in passing, But be that as it may,
it's Protocol 2H.
Oh God, yes. For you people watching,
to throw something else out there.
Yeah, crossing the streams for you people watching the current season of Travelers. What do you think of the characterizations this year?
I like them. I do. I really like Tilly.
She's become so much fun.
She is.
She drove me nuts the first couple of episodes, but now I really dig her.
Yeah, she's kind of become the comic relief, if you will.
Oh, there was a gag in the last episode that
we had to pause.
Yeah, we were watching the streaming, and I had to hit pause because Keith was just laughing too hard. And then he says, "Okay, now you got to play it again." Because it was just way too funny.
Because I immediately started laughing, and I didn't catch the rest of it.
I think that was intended. Clearly that was supposed to be a gag, and it worked out really well.
It worked real well.
It was very funny. I've been very happy with the series. I love the characterizations. Getting some more on Saru and his people.
Oh, wow, yeah.
They just set up a brand new story arc for the future, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love Anson Mount as Pike.
Yes.
Oh, and they're number one?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Me likey her. I hope we see more of her.
She did. She was a great. I won't say body double or they picked somebody that
she did a good job of carrying the whole Majel Barrett is number one thing. I'm happy with Discovery. I can't wait to see where this is going to go. It looks like they're keeping the momentum. I love the energy. I love the themes. So I'm all game. So I'm very happy with what we're getting these days.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
Yes, and we have a wrap-up for this past week.
Do you want to talk about the Trans Live?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I was doing something else.
Waiting on you, honey.
There we are. The Trans Lifeline. If you are trans or questioning or curious about the Trans Lifeline and you are in crisis, please call the hotline as 877-565-8860, or in the U.S. and in Canada, 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org and find out what it's all about. Sorry, so I played the theremin too early.
Okay. So, but yes, we do have the weekly review now. These are things that we ran this last week on our website.
I don't think this is 39. I don't know where I got that number, but...
I didn't think that was right.
Yeah. So.
Is this like 42 or something?
No, it's all fouled up.
This is 35.
Yeah, it was 34.
34.
Actually.
34.
Because 35 came out today of this recording.
Okay, and okay, so just for clear, Tommy Cannon, we love the guy. He's been sending everything to us, ahead of time. So probably 39 is already in the works.
Yes, it is. It's already out there, and that's where I pulled the title.
That's okay. So it's actually Dr. Zombie Monster Family Physician number 35.
34.
34. Oh, good Lord. 3, sir.
5. 1, 2, 5.
So it's actually, which one? 34?
34.
Oh, boy. We'll have it fixed for the links on this episode.
Brother Maynard.
Yes. Yeah, bring out the proper Dr. Monster Family.
Dr. Monster's Zombie Family Physician.
Yeah, the Sunday strip. Give us the right one.
Here we go.
So then moving to Monday, TG Geeks episode 400. No, 207.
Yeah.
Wow.
500.
Yeah. And also, Dr. Zombie cartoons coming in book form.
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, check it out. Go to the website and find this article about the Dr. Zombie cartoons. Yeah. Tommy is doing a Kickstarter. It's a 32-page Dr. Zombie comics, and you can get in for as little as $2.
It's worth it.
You will get the PDF of it all the way up to you can have Dr. Zombie come and perform at your event, Maricopa County only. But
that'll be fun. Does he bring the monsters with him?
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Then on Tuesday, February 5th, we're really just not right with the dates and the numbers and all that.
We're not right in the head.
No. No, Tuesday, February 5th, there is Ben's breakdown of Star Trek Discovery, his 3-episode thoughts of Season 2. Yes, those thoughts are mine, so God help you all. And then
talking in the third person here.
Yeah, and then I got problems then. And then on Wednesday the 6th, there is Ben's gay breakdown. Yes, my breakdown of the gay PI series, Third Man Out.
It's really cool. This Donald Strachey series.
The Donald Strachey movie series are really awesome.
And those were on
Here TV.
Here TV.
Yes. And then on Thursday, February 7th, we have a movie review from Andrea Richoff, and it's about the movie Arctic. She calls it chilling and thrilling. It's all part of Andrea's angle. And then on Friday, February 8th, news sushi number 49, morsels of news from Japan and beyond.
Closing in on one whole year of news sushi every single week.
Wow, God bless you.
Thank you, Hamish.
You are amazing. And then on Saturday, February 9th.
Friday, sir.
Oh, thank you. Brother Maynard, bring out the proper calendar. And then Keith did one of his Keith's Corners where he did a brunch at Palo aboard the Disney Magic. Yes. Oh, dear, I'm amazed I got through all the...
Dona eis requiem.
Enough of that.
You can find all these things and our craziness over at tggeeks.com, as well as entries on our Facebook page that we post there when things are published. And please visit tggeeks.com, or you can comment on all of those things at Facebook or on the website. And we thank you for that. And now we have our follow-up items. Of course, we are huge supporters of independent creators, whether filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others. Please talk about their stuff, buy their stuff, comment on their posts, etc. And if you go to a con, please have cash for them. They don't need that extra added overhead of credit card fees. Please consider supporting independent, creators.
Special shout out to the Human Arkle. He puts out the Arkle Times Post Dispatch News, which republishes our content from time to time. You can find the Arkle Times Post Dispatch News by going to Twitter and searching for the Human Arkle. And his address is at Arkle, A-R-K-L-E. And speaking of Arkle, he has on YouTube his shameless cash grab. I'm not sure. Is we in season 3 of that now?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can find it by going
to... It may be done. I don't know.
It might be. You can find it by going to youtube.com/user/Arkle Studios. And that's all one word, ARKLESTUDIOSLMNOP. Forget that LMNOP part.
Yeah.
But yes, you can, Arkle Studios, all one word on YouTube. And we have to give a couple of shout-outs to a couple of Facebook groups for allowing us to post our episodes and relevant articles on their page. First, to Gay Geeks After Hours. Big thanks to the moderators, Gay Geeks After Hours, for literally telling us, share away. And their URL is facebook.com/groups/Gay Geeks After Hours. And then to The Gay Geek for also allowing us to share our stuff on their page. And their URL is facebook.com/groups/The Gay Geek. And for them, we have to give a special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And lastly, we can now be found on, well, we've always been found on some of these places, but Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Anchor, as well as all the places other fine podcasts can be found. Also, check us out on Krypton Radio at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays, where you can listen to a replay of this. You can also listen to their other wonderful content that they
Lots
have
of content.
24 hours a day, 24-hour internet radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Next time, we're going to have an interview with the creative forces behind the sequels. Yes, it's a new comic book that's coming, or graphic novels, series of graphic novels that's coming out. And I want to throw a little thing out there. We're not ready to say who yet, but we've got some additional writers and contributors coming on board that will add to the TG Geeks family. So thank you to them.
I'm looking forward to it.
As soon as those are set in stone and we get them up on the website, we will certainly announce that. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links of things we talked about on the page. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and those around you. Peace.
Cheers.